podcast, and I am joined by Steve Baltich.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
What's up, man? I did say your name right?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
right.
good.
You're one of the few people that actually pronounce that right.
Okay, good. So, man, give us, this is a business podcast, so give us a little bit of like business background. Like, I know you're in China right now. You're coming all the way to Harrison, Arkansas to see us.
Mm-hmm.
We do some business together and stuff, but like, give us a small background of like what you do and like, what got you to this point.
Okay. Well, my business, I started off in nursing. Like when I was really young, I went into nursing and did that for about 7-8 years, working with in hospitals and working with old people. And but I always had this pull to the States. I'm a dual citizen. I grew up in Canada.
Oh, nice.
But I have one American parent, one Canadian parent. So
Okay.
I knew at some point I'd get to the States. So I hooked up with my cousin at that time, and we opened up a nightclub together. And we did that for a couple of years, and that's kind of how I.
What age were you?
29.
Okay.
When I did that, I did the nursing through my 20s. Moved to the States when I was 29. I got into the business field. He wanted some help. I was thinking of moving down there to do nursing, and I guess got pulled away from it. I never went back. So
right.
It was time for a change, and that's how I kind of got into business. And then I met a guy down there who was doing kiosks. He was back in around the year 1999 and 2001. I decided to do a side venture with him, and I got into the kiosk industry. And that's how I hooked up with John.
So what was the guy's name that you got? Because John got me into the kiosk business, so I'm just curious.
I had a friend. His name was Don. And he was the one, I met him in Colorado. He was just a guy I met, when I was living there.
Gotcha.
And he's the one that kind of got me interested in the kiosk business. And then John was already in it before me, and I ended up buying something from him, like a product he was wholesaling.
Oh.
And then I started doing my own.
The little watches?
It was the watch cars.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Those are cool.
And then I moved to Hawaii. I actually decided to take my kiosk business to Hawaii. And so when I moved there, I met a friend from China, and he was real interested in the product I was selling at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to try to bring that product to China. So he started bringing me to China. So I started traveling to China like 3-4 times a year. And, when you're in the kiosk industry, you have a network of people that are, always looking for some kind of product, so
the next specialty retail hot product.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're asking me like, hey, when you go, can you maybe find this for me, or find that, or find out if I can get this from a factory? So as I started going more and more, I started doing more and more of this work for people. It just is it's just as a favor.
So you're just doing it as a buddy system, kind of.
Just a buddy system. I wasn't making any money off it or anything, but I was just doing this. And that is what led into me, like, it just kept on building more and more and more clients. And then eventually, through John, he asked me to, like, hey, can you source some of these bottles or something for me? And I'm like, sure. I looked into it, and, that was about 4 years ago. We were just doing like a few bottles, a few sizes of bottles. And now here we are 4 years later, and there's a whole list of things that, it became a full-time thing. It became so much work that I had to just like drop all my other customers and just focus.
So now you're just focusing on that, right?
Yeah.
You're living in China. You're just focusing on creation, like pretty much.
Yeah.
Like,
what you could call it, I guess, is that we call it product sourcing.
Okay.
And quality control. So you source the product, go to shows and factories and things. You find it. You work with them.
Okay.
From the beginning stages, having it made, then you do quality control, and then the shipping logistics of shipping it out, containers out. So that's what I do: product sourcing and quality control.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So what do you think the biggest difference is in like doing business in America versus China? Like, from you going from Hawaii and then all the ventures you did in America to China, like what's the biggest difference? And like, I know there's like a negotiation difference. But...
China is more manufacturing. Then I mean, there are tons of retail there, but it is the manufacturing center of the world, right? Like a lot of things are made there for all over the world. So it's just thousands and thousands of factories like spread out, all over. So that to me was like, I always felt like I started off, got into a little bit of sales, retail, doing selling, and then you dabble in a little bit of wholesale distribution, and then that leads to manufacturing. That's the next step. So I kind of felt it was a little bit like of an organic flow. It was kind of like I was being pushed in. At first I was trying to bring a product to China, but then I realized I'm doing this opposite. Like I should be, I have a wife there. I ended up getting married there and starting a family there, and I have like a special, I'm an American in China that can be dealing and helping with Americans and other people in the States, like the direct connection, like help with that communication gap and
break some boundaries.
That's my niche. That's what I should be doing. So it took me a while to figure that out, but I figured it out. And so you got to kind of find out really what you should be doing, like what's your place in China,
Right.
So that's what I figured out. Like, I shouldn't be trying to bring products to China. I should be helping bring products out of China.
Yeah. You had to just mess with a few things and figure out what was for you. I mean, I know for me, it's like, it's nice to have you there, because the thing before, when John and I would try to do something, it was always like, we'd get something that we thought would look like, subject A, and it would look nothing like subject A.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So having you there, we know that you're going to be able to, at least kind of like pre-check everything before we get it.
And I mean, really, if you look at all the really big successful companies, like for example, Apple and their iPhones, like they have set up the systems. They have people there full time, lots of people there, like, and that is a necessity.
Like, how many people do you think they have there full time?
Oh, well, I went by their factory.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like one of their factories. They have many, but like their main one in Shenzhen, and it's huge. It's like a university campus. It's just like, I don't even know how many thousands and thousands of people work there.
Jeez.
But you have to be there and involved in the process. Otherwise, it'll get away from you because of the different mindset, cultural differences and things. Like, they just are used to doing things a different way. And many countries have many different levels of acceptance of quality and things. So I suggest if anybody wants to go down this road, you really should have somebody there full time doing it. Because otherwise it's going to be a problem. And this is the big thing. This is why people are, if they know you're there, they really want you to help them, because otherwise it's very difficult. It is difficult. You're going to have to go through lots of mistakes and, problems, defects and things. But if you're there, you can cut down that a lot.
You can trim that quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
So how would somebody go about finding a Steve? You know what I'm saying? Like, another entrepreneurs in the U.S., they have this great idea, but the manufacturing cost is too high. What are they have to get it done somewhere else, the market, for the marketplace. How do they go about doing that? You know what I mean? Is it just more of just a friend type thing? Like,
no,
like you said,
I think, well, it could be, but there are trading companies. They could search trading companies. They could go to some shows, big shows in like Vegas or somewhere, and they will have these services.
Okay.
But again, there's still going to be a little bit of issue of trust there, because it's a service. It's just like this service that you're hiring, but they do have these services for companies. You can hire a trading company to do all this for you, hire a logistics company. Okay. But if you have that personal relationship, of course, that's like an extra plus, right?
We always trust it. That's the thing. Like I know that John has known you for a long time now, that we're getting to talk and we have some common interests. And it's like, I know that you're going to make good for it. So sometimes the trading company may not do that, but that's the route you had to go.
Yeah. It's because we have that similar mindset. Like, we're both coming from, the same culture and same belief systems, and, your success is my success and vice versa. Right. Where,
correct.
You have some company, you're just one out of many, and they may just be looking for a short-term cash grab. You know what I mean?
Sure.
They may not want to really deal with solving a problem. It's not worth it. So it's risky. A business is risk, but that would be a way to start, for somebody who's looking for that. Or a lot of people go. They just go themselves. If you're really serious about it, go and look for
take care of it.
Look for some factories. Go visit the factories. That makes a big difference. If you go there in person, you get a whole different level of treatment than if you're just working through emails.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah. So what did you, I'm just curious what you sold in the kiosks. Like, what all did you do? Because I did, if anybody watched the first podcast or listened to the first podcast, I did it for 11 years, kiosks. So sold everything from toys to massagers to
Yeah.
freaking body jewelry, whatever.
Yeah. I did. I think my very first one was the Zoom copters.
Oh man.
And
Your arm's still on. That's
yeah,
good.
man. I think I got carpal tunnel in my wrist from flying
dude.
that thing all day long.
Oh my gosh.
And I did some of those tumbling cars and remote so toys. I did toys for a while, and then I did the massagers, the TENS units, you know, and
the mini masseuse or whatever.
then I did like some of the ionic magnetic energy bracelet stuff for a little while.
Yeah.
And I went into jewelry. I have my own concept actually, where it's a custom jewelry where you're stamping and engraving and on rings and
oh cool.
And actually developed a particular piece to turn the ring into a necklace. I still have this.
I remember seeing that. Yeah, I remember John had
and,
one of these.
And I actually got a patent. I got awarded a patent on it.
Oh wow.
I just been a little busy that I haven't really been pushing it, but But I really do want to actually kind of move online with that. I feel
so. What is it now? Explain it again.
Basically, in Hawaii, I have this kiosk where couples can. It's good for couples there, so they come up and they can get a set of rings. I deal mostly in silver and stainless, and you know not the super expensive.
Sure.
And they can right on the spot. They can get it engraved or hand stamped or customized. I can do the inside of the ring, the outside of the ring, and then I found that a lot of people don't know the size. So for gifts, they could wear it around their neck, but rather than just put it on a chain, I developed a special clasp system. It's like a circle with a T inside, and you can open it up and hang the ring on it, and then hang a charm on it. And so basically, it's if a charm floats in the middle, and you can turn your ring into a nice necklace.
Oh, that's pretty
cool. And you can open it and close it and change out the charm. And so I was selling these like little ring necklace kits and bracelets. I branched off and made it into a kiosk concept. And
that's interesting.
Yeah, I still do it. I have people out there doing it.
So you just kind of do it part-time. So it's actually in Hawaii right now.
It's in Hawaii, and I have a couple of ladies that help me do that, and they've been with me for a long time.
But your primary source now is mostly in China. Like
yeah, I actually moved to China. I'm there full time now. 2 years ago, I moved there. Wow. So I went from traveling to actually just moving there.
So give us a little tidbit on like how the McDonald's is there. I'm just curious. Like, is it?
Well, they finally got drive-through McDonald's. I finally saw some drive-through McDonald's for the first time this year. A little bit as you get out, just as you're leaving the city where they have a little more space. They're building drive-through McDonald's there, but they have really strange things on the menu there that you wouldn't expect here. They sell like chicken wings, Their chickens they have like a spicy McChicken, which is like super peppery, spicy hot because they like the spicy food.
Okay, yeah.
You can get side dishes of corn. You can get side dishes of like they have to like rice bowls, like where they put rice underneath.
Yeah.
And then they'll take like those chicken patties grilled, and then they'll cut them and put them over top the rice, because rice is a big staple of their food down there.
So Chinese food though, it's not. I've never been to China, so I'm gonna sound like an ignorant person here, but it's nothing like the Chinese food here, correct?
Nothing like it. No.
Why is that?
Well, the way I understand it is like the first Chinese that come over were the Cantonese from Hong Kong and southern part of China, and they came over, and they've realized that the taste in States and for Westerners was sweet, not spicy and salty so much as sweet.
Yeah.
So they just changed the recipe. So they came up with the orange chicken, and sweet and sour, but if you really go to China and eat like the food there, nobody orders that.
Really?
Yeah, it's all like it's a lot of like there's basically 8 different regions of China, like 8 different cuisines. It's broken into like 8 different districts of China.
Okay.
And one focuses more on like meat, and one is more spicy, and one is more sweet. Shanghai is where you can get more of the sweet stuff that foreigners like. Where I live in the south is more of the spicy, and a lot of like fish and vegetable and stuff.
I've always wondered. So if I go to China right now, I'm gonna be like highly disappointed if there's no orange chicken. Is there gonna be orange chicken at all? Like I want that.
You can get sweet and sour pork. Yeah, you can get that, but you won't get like orange chicken.
Like at Panda Express,
They have something like it, but it's a little bit different flavor. It's not quite as sweet, and there's a lot more orange in it.
Oh, okay, yeah. That sounds pretty good.
It's only people like us will order that. Like
Yeah.
no group of Chinese people will order that.
That's so funny, man.
Yeah, but the food is actually one of the things I really like about China. Is
Really?
Is the food. And
Would you say it's more clean, more healthy?
Well, you don't see a whole lot of obese people in China.
That's a good point.
They walk a lot. It's typically rice, and vegetable, and a little bit of meat, But their diet is becoming more Western.
Sounds like my son would just die there. Like none of the above would be like.
But they got all
veggies
the staples there. Now they got McDonald's, and they got everything there now. But when I first started going there, they didn't have much, So rice in the South, it's rice, and then vegetables and all kinds of. But they have a lot of fruits and vegetables you would have never seen and heard of. It's actually a much bigger, diverse palette than what we've got. We're like a meat, potato, vegetable type culture. As they've got like just so many different kinds of amazing things you can eat. So if you're in the new tastes and all these different kinds of foods, you'll probably really like it.
Yeah, I'd probably enjoy just seeing the whole culture, and I definitely need to get out there within the next year. Like I need to go out there and check it out.
It's the reason I was trying to think about why do I like China, because there's a lot of inconvenience. It's a very different place to live. It's not easy to make an adjustment for people like us to go to. I live in a huge, massive city, like over 12 million people in this city. Cow. So it's very, very crowded, congested. It's not what I grew up on. It's not what I'm used to, but it's not boring. I figured out it's not boring. It's always changing. There's always different people there. There's new restaurants coming and going, businesses starting and failing and coming. I mean, it's just not boring. I think that's why I like it.
It's just constant movement.
Constant.
Always.
Yeah. It's exciting.
I'd probably
it's
like
an exciting place to be, really.
Huh.
If you can get past all the kind of inconveniences and, little things that will bother you, but
the stuff we shouldn't worry about really anyway, Yeah.
It's not easy, but it's, I have to admit, China's been good to me. It's provided me with a family, stable work, interesting.
Yeah, you've thrived in China, man.
I have. Yeah.
You've thrived.
Yeah, done well.
So that's a good lesson for people. Like, listen, pretty much Steve has this amazing story from going from, nursing to carts and Hawaii, then ends up in China, then reverses his philosophy on what he was wanting to do.
Yeah.
It's a pretty amazing thing. And hey, Steve, man, we appreciate you coming on. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, just China's an insane place to live.
Yeah.
So it'll be good. I
think
it'll
perfect.
Be good. Yeah.
See, that's perfect. Insane Labs. The last little cue there.